Yeah, awesome. Thanks for popping in. Hope you had a good day today. Or at least, as good a day as today can be. Well, here we are. Been a while since I've done one of these, so see how things go. Obviously, I'm going to be working on the Ironface cover that Kickstarter's going right now. If people want to, covering from a 3-hour plus MRI. Oh, geez. Well, I hope you're at home relaxing now, and hopefully you're drawing and you can keep working on that awesome stuff you've been working on. That will be on the Fat Cat Funnies website. And but yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of these, and a lot has happened. A lot of jobs, a lot of drawing. Good. I'm glad you're at home. Obviously, a lot's happened in the world, but I promised myself I wouldn't go off on a tangent like that. But this is a cover that I grew up loving, and actually it was the editor of the book that suggested it for an homage cover, and I was so many homage covers these days are done of like the Spidey 300, McFarlane, like all these other guys that are a little bit more recent than this book, or they go Silver Age. So I thought it was just a fun cover that you don't see homage very often, and I'm a huge Buscema fan. I love the Conan the Barbarian stuff. I love a lot of the work that he put out over his career. I never met John Buscema, but I do have a page of artwork from a Spider-Man annual that he did later, much later in his career. But this is the cover. As you can see, it's close, and what I wanted to do was kind of get the feeling. I can't really move the camera out, but you can see, bodies laying across, guy with the gun. It's not exactly the same because I don't like, line for line recreations, but I do like homages done in their own style. So that's what I was going for. You'll see differences all throughout. Like, I'm not going to ink it exactly the way they have it here because I can't. This was clearly all done with brush, with the possible exception of some nib here. I'm not sure if John inked this cover. It looks like his inks, but it could have been Al Williamson because I know that he inked a lot of this run. Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for popping in, man. Good to see you. Hope things are okay on your side of town. But yeah, I wanted to go for it to be similar, have the same pose on the main figure, the moon, the light coming down from the left-hand side, some of the cast shadows. And I even, had basically some similar poses, but I did alter like some of the faces and some of the different ways that the folds in the fabric were done, because I don't know if the coloring did much for me on this lower part, and I know that they did that intentionally to bring your attention here. They had all cool and then kind of circled this portion of the cover with the yellow highlights and the moon. It draws your eye in. Before we get started, I'll show you some other Ironface stuff that I've been working on or that I've been doing. Here's that quick Helena sketch from the video earlier. I've been doing Acts of Helena stuff. My buddy Jesse has been helping me lay flats on it, so we're making good progress. Strips start going up on November 1st on fatcatfunnies.com, and I've got a lot planned and a lot done, so you're getting to see the stuff that I've been doing for myself for a while. But here's that promo piece that I did for Ironface. And this was before, this is sort of like a later stage Ironface, because obviously his mask has changed, it's evolved. When they first sent me artwork for it, I saw latter Ironface garb instead of earlier on. Like this is the first book is his origin, and you know, the story is that, you know, you can hear it read by Andrew WK on YouTube if you wanted to check out the Kickstarter, or just go over to YouTube on the Sour Kool-Aid Show page. I should have put a link to that, but I didn't. But if you look up Ironface, I'm sure you'll find it. I can show you some of the earlier pages. This is page 1. And you can see that I have some of the rendering technique that has more of like the curvilinear and topographical lines. But I've started to pull back a little bit, and I use a little bit of the I use mostly the structure of the tick that I use on Ironface himself as far as his body type. But I have the finishing and the rendering that I do for my own personal work, which has been very rewarding. You can see like all the linear lines and stuff for grass, and then the rain. You know, and then when he goes underground, like all of this gets lost when you color it, but when you look at it in black and white, the darkness edge of the mud gets lighter as it goes underneath, and then it surrounds the open white for the blood, so you can see it. And then there's the big splash page. He says, "No time for flowers." I've also done some work for Altered Reality. I did a Road Warrior comic that they're going to be printing. I just got a call for possibly some new tick stuff, but none of that is set in stone. But here we are. I've been touting this online. This is a Kuretake brush pen, and for years and years and years, I hated all the brush pens I tried. And this one, I finally bit the bullet for like the 35 bucks or whatever, and I love it. I actually think it's just as good as the fancy Raphael brushes that I've been using for years, and it saves time. I don't have to go back and forth to the inkwell, which is phenomenal. This is a John Buscema cover, so there's a lot of organic lines, so we're going to use a lot of brush. But you're going to see when I get in to do all of the noodling in the clothes and in the debris and in his jeans, like he has on the Wolverine cover, he has like a tattered, like a onesie, and Ironface wears like torn up jeans and stuff after he's out of his prison uniform. Yeah, Allison, they're unbelievable. And they also come with a sable tip that you can get, or you can actually, which is what I did, I actually got a couple of replacement cheaper tips of the nylon, because they do wear out, but they work great. Okay, well, I'm going to try. I'm not going to start with Ironface because I'm a little nervous, and I haven't done a stream in a while, so we're going to start with some of the soldiers down here. Let's start. Let's start with the foreground. When I first started doing comics, you know, everyone said you have to learn to ink with a brush, ink with a brush, ink with a brush, and I hated it. I tried for so long, and even though I had been trained to do like watercolors and all sorts of things, it's just something that I still fight with to this day, but I find it very rewarding. And one thing you're going to notice while I'm making this is that it takes a long time. I have no idea how many hours it's going to take to finish this cover. I don't suspect we will finish this evening, but hopefully. Yeah, the replacements are cheap. Like, as long as you don't have to buy the body, I think the replacement was like 20 bucks, 15 bucks, something like that, over on Jet Pens. One thing I do try to stay aware of is that there are two light sources on this cover. There's a light source from the back left, and there's also one obviously behind Ironface of the moon. So you're going to have two different sources for your line thickness, which is tough for me. Like if you look at most of my stuff, I almost always pick singular light sources unless a script calls for it. Just because it simplifies it in my brain. Like it's just I get confused. I'm just amazed at how solid of a line you can get with this thing. Because I did multiple pieces where I lightboxed the same drawing, and I did one with my old brush and one with this, and I felt like I kept more energy with this because I didn't have to keep going back and forth to the ink. Yeah, we'll see how the evening goes. One thing I have to be aware of is where the shadows are behind your figure, because you're going to use, you don't want to have black on black as the edging, the place where the pretty sure the first thing I ever saw that I was aware of it being drawn by John Buscema was the Wolverine in Marvel Comics Presents, written by Chris Claremont. That was the first one, and I always liked it. Hits all the nostalgia buttons for me. And then I found his giant run on Conan after that. I know he did Avengers. I know he did, the random issues of other series here and there, but I always think of his Conan. Some of the people inking his stuff I love. Some of them I didn't love. I kind of have a on again, off again feelings towards Ernie Chan's inks. Sometimes I love him, sometimes I don't. He was his inker for so long that if you can't, if you don't at least kind of like, oh yeah, the Silver Surfer series. I didn't read that until much later. I actually think the first Silver Surfer I read was the either the John Byrne or the Mobius one. But good call. It was beautiful stuff. And I didn't read his Submariner until much later, which I think that stuff's beautiful too. It's just again, I got different inkers all over the place. Whether it was when he got Sinnott, it looked great. Or those Tom Palmer years over on Fantastic Four, the Avengers. The Avengers, that's what it was. One of the things I took a long time to learn was that some of the lines just have to be done faster. If you just move at the same speed the whole time. Oh, your dad dug the Surfer? That's cool. See, my dad had comic books when he was a kid, but they were just comic books to him. Like he wasn't like a collector. So like, he had early DCs and stuff, but they got tossed out. But that's cool. Yeah, I used to go just like really slow on all of my lines, and I just felt like it sucked all the life out of them. And I just use as long as I got all the pages. Like my Wolverine one right there, it has some water damage throughout the whole book, but it doesn't affect any of the coloring. It's got all the pages. For me, it's the perfect copy. Like, it's not a grader's copy. I don't use this for filling. What I tend to use are these Faber-Castell giant markers. Only books I care about nice, I generally prefer reading copies. Well, I remember you had a really nice set of. You had at Boston Comic Con some Rights and Swamp Things that you got signed. Am I remembering that correctly? And they were really nice looking. Maybe it was another book by Wrightson. But I seem to remember you having a very nice Wrightson books at one point. Happy belated birthday to Mr. Wrightson. I just remember at one show, I think it was at Boston, and I think you had like really nice Swamp Thing issues that you got signed. I think I was in line either behind or in front of you, or you let me go in front of you because I had like one or something. I have a vague memory of this. Stuff was, I mean, his stuff is amazing, and he was always very, very nice to people. The last thing I actually got signed by him was the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors that he did with Marv Wolfman and Len Wein and Gene Colan all did a Treehouse of Horror issue, and that was the last thing I got signed by him. That's what it was, yeah. I'm trying to remember what I asked him to sign that time. It might have been what was it? The Lost Planet series that Tim Bradstreet did. These are Faber-Castells for people that are watching that are, gearheads. I happen to like them more than Microns. I like the feel of them. It's more natural to me, at least. I still use some Microns because they go smaller, but I remember the first time I met him was at maybe the second Boston Con I'd ever been to. It was in the basement downtown, and he signed the poster, and I bought a sketchbook of his. Back when people did sketchbooks. I've been thinking about doing one just for fun. My buddy John Lucas did a sketchbook. I got one of those coming in the mail. Well, now that Helena's going to be online, I have plenty of drawings to do a Helena sketchbook. And that might be a good thing to put together and make like a print on demand kind of thing. I just don't have the money to float out there at the moment. Oh, you first met him at the basement show? The good old days. Hopefully we get back to stuff like that next year. That would make me very happy. And I don't need a big show. I could do a little show that everybody felt safe at. That would be a good thing. Or we could all just rent a private island. So that's the thing that's going around right now. Just to feel normal, rent a private island. I wish I could explain most of my inking process more easily, but I can't. I stay conscious of the light source and the form as best I can. But it's tough to explain. Like these little zippers, like I like to have them on the edge of a shadow coming from the light source, pointing at the light source in foreground figures. I never put them on background elements. and I try not to put too much black on background elements, unless it's in like pure shadow. Yeah, Jonathan, I've seen a few people doing them. I always bought them, but I guess that's kind of like an artist thing or art fan thing, I would say, because I know you're an art fan, and Allison's an art fan. It's usually an inexpensive way to get some cool artwork that isn't in the books or whatever. The hard thing for me for years is just that like so many places wouldn't allow you to reproduce the work. I know some people do it anyway, but I try to be respectful. Hey, Tony. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's got the classic, pyramid composition. The only thing that breaks it are the two arms, the Wolverine with the claws, and I'm guessing that was intentional when he did it. Yeah, the only thing I did before I came on the stream outside of the pencils was just rule some lines. I did the panel border around the whole thing, and then I used a circle for the moon. There's some stuff when I was looking at the cover, when you look at the nitty gritty details where like I kind of wonder what the deal is with this little wrist bitty. It was drawn just like, the sleeve on a shirt, but it's definitely something else. New comic day. I have not been to a comic store in ages. I feel bad about that, but I call and make sure, if they want me to pay for anything that's in my pull, which I think is Aquaman and the last issue of Mercy, is what's in my pull at the moment. I've just been reading old issues of Conan lately, if I'm being completely honest. And I bought a big stack of them on eBay for like $1 a book. Yeah, did you like the last Ronin? I've seen some cool covers. I just like I said, I haven't been to a store, so. Yeah, I saw lots of posts about like no last Ronin spoilers here. I'll be interested to see what that story's like. All right. Yeah, I saw how many covers they've been doing for that, and I just Ninja Turtles has been, and it's been to my benefit in the past, so I can't complain too terribly. Um, they use the variant covers to their advantage. Oh, you saw Craig wandering around. Very nice. Was the boy with him? Craig's doing a bunch of stuff. I don't know how much he's announced, so I don't know how much I can talk about. But that he's doing that Red Sonja book. He's got the Kyra book that Scout's doing. He's got Perhaponauts. Guy's just been cranking out work. Really nice guy. He's a professional artist. I'm very thankful I got to get to know a little better last year or so. He and his family are amazing. I'm a guy who you know generally complains a lot about hanging out with people's kids, but their kids are awesome. Both super smart. The boy loves comics, so you can talk comics with him. Really, really awesome people. Yeah, doing that Kyra print was fun. Like I said on that somebody else's thread, like they were like, "Oh, print by Ian." I bought that book purely as a fan, and I even wrote an email to Dark Horse when the serialized story was ending. You know, just saying like, "Look, I bought this book for the purpose of reading this story, and I'd like to see more." I've only ever written like as a fan to publishers maybe 3 times in my life. I'm glad that Scout has picked up the baton, and I know that Mr. Woodall has gotten himself a good working relationship with Scout with that Black Caravan stuff. So they released some sort of box set today, which looked pretty cool. Again, don't have the cash for it, but it looks really neat. All right. And thank you for supporting that Kickstarter. Like I said, those are really good people. And they do a really nice job running their Kickstarters. And I saw they got Todd writing some new stuff, which was good, Mr. DeZago. So you can see how long it takes me to do this stuff. And like the only reason I get a ton done is because I'm constantly working. My schedule is usually something like, get up before 7, breakfast, coffee, shower, usually at the board, in the 8 o'clock hour. Work till 12:30, 1 o'clock, take a break for lunch. Usually take 30 minutes and then back to work until 5:30, and then cook dinner and back at the board usually by 7:30, and then I work till 10. And if I don't have an immediate deadline, I stop from 10 to 11 and go to bed. And if I have a deadline, I'll stop from 10 to 11, and then if I have to, I'll go back to the board after 11. Needed a drink. I'm just drinking water with a little bit of juice in it. Let's keep going. I have been doing some inking digitally lately. I still don't like it, but it is obscenely fast. And I had a book I had to pump out in like 9 days, so that's what. Me too, Jonathan. And I think it's a combination of things. It's not just that; it's also indie publishers not wanting to put out the same number of books that they used to be. You've seen Trekker, which was usually at Dark Horse, on Kickstarter. I think it's on Kickstarter right now. You've seen Andrew Peepoy's book on Kickstarter. Hell, Nexus is on Kickstarter. Nexus is at Dark Horse. It was at first. so many of these bigger name creators are doing Kickstarters. Freaking Scott Snyder had a Kickstarter with, was it Tony Daniel? Like 2 A-list DC creators doing Kickstarters, instead of just taking it to Image. You can't stop them from doing something like that. It's a free tool for anybody to publish, which is what makes it great, but it definitely makes it harder. Got to bring the A game. And I think some publishers aren't taking I just don't think they're taking the risks. I was one of the people booted during the pandemic in that. Helena, I took it around to several publishers, and some went pretty far. And then when COVID hit, it was like, oh, no, we're not going to do it. So I even just got it today. Like I showed a couple of friends a page I just finished, and they were like, oh, why don't you just take it to one of these smaller publishers? And I got a guy. I was just like, nope. For right now, I'm done playing that game. It is an emotional roller coaster, and I was on it for 2 rounds with 2 different publishers, so getting off that ride for a little bit. Plus, there's a pitch that I have to finish with my buddy Jeff. Mr. McClellan, who did Planet Comics, and I did a short story for it. You guessed right on Last Ronin. Yeah, that's because they wouldn't say which turtle it was. I have assumed from the start that I haven't read it, so this is purely speculation, that it was the smart turtle. Could be wrong. Could be the angry turtle, but that's been my guess. I usually guess that the smart one makes it to the end. And Ben's doing the artwork in that, right? Ben Bishop. I saw him do a post that he was doing the artwork for it. I always try to pick up, stuff of people I know. See, I'm starting to calm down, so you can see me pushing the brush a little bit better than I was before. The brush was kind of pushing me around. So maybe on the next person that we're inking, it'll be a little bit better. He did 1 page in this issue. I thought he was doing the whole thing. That's what I thought, but shows what I know. He did like an Akira Homage cover, if I saw correctly. One of the specialty covers that I saw that I actually thought was maybe my favorite cover I've seen him do was actually Ryan Brown's cover. I think that's a favorite piece of artwork I've seen him do for me. I realize we're all, Oh, Eastman did this issue. Oh, that's cool. I still find it kind of amazing that he's, still drawing turtles all these years later. It's like 30 years. I'd be interested to know, because they had mentioned Peter Laird being involved somehow. Be interested to know what he did. Because I was told he was back being retired from conventions and everything. He's just doing his pottery thing. Because I quite like Peter Laird's artwork. This is an 02. I need an 01. Oh, okay. So he did some of the writing. Probably did like conceptual plot type stuff. A phone call, maybe a draft. I met Tom Waltz once for about 20 seconds at San Diego. The colors on the book. IDW has some good colorists. I'm not sure who did this one, but they definitely have some good colorists. There have been some, I think there are some companies that do really, really saturated colors on everything, no matter what it is, like Dynamite and stuff. But IDW's had some good colorists. These are the little itty bitty lines that I do now that They're probably really tough to see on the stream, but when the cover is published, I think they look cool. To me, they help sell the textures and the lighting. Yeah, you'll have to shoot me a picture, or I'll have to look it up online just to see what you mean. Yeah, I keep saying I'll go to the comic book store, but I just I work. That's been my default during this during the pandemic, which I know is still going on. Um, I kind of burnt myself out a little bit the last 10 days on that rush job, so I've been going a little slower than I was before, but slowly ramping back up. Yeah, I do wonder if Peter's ever going to do another Mirage issue. I know he retained, when he sold the rights, he retained the ability to do Mirage issues of the Turtles, but I'm sure IDW would try to get him to co-brand or something, try to reduce competition and all that corporate gobbledygook. Oh, you got it digitally. Cool. I keep saying I'm going to buy like an iPad so I can read comics, digitally, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Also, as you've noticed, I don't read a ton of new comics, so I'd be buying the Marvel app or whatever it is that lets you read all the back issues. And my wife has actually been helping me a great deal with organizing my comic collection while I've been working my keister off on artwork and stuff. So might be selling some stuff, probably giving stuff away. I like giving stuff away more than selling it. Give it to a friend that hasn't read it before, whatever. And you can start to see where all the little lines start to go. And you can see at least I hope you can see the purpose. I'm going to do that for all of these. And like the texture I do on his jeans, you'll see has like 3 layers of ink. Yeah, the comics were getting out of control. I had come close to organizing them a few years ago, and then I just started grabbing stuff to read, and that all went to hell. The hardest part for me is like, what do you do with something that is independently published, never being printed again, and you'll never be able to read it digitally again, and it's not worth a goddamn thing? I have so many books like that. So it's not like someone's going to want to buy it. I enjoy so many books that probably are never being reprinted again and have very little resale value. This is a different texture I'll show you in a second that takes 2 layers. I go in and I have the lines that go parallel to the whatever it is. In this case, the edges of the gun. And then I take my brush pen. I want it to be a little dry. See where it starts to dry out? I think it's a nice broken black. And it looks kind of like gunmetal when you do that. I like how it comes out. And basically how these curvilinear lines work for me in my brain is they try to define the shape. So like where you see these folds in the pants, they're going around the edge of the leg. The leg is round, it's like a tube. So you don't want to just draw straight lines. You want them to go with the leg in perspective. And, I just kind of had to accept that when this is shrunk down, what it's going to create is almost like a noise, a pattern. Instead of like a halftone pattern, it creates a different feel to it. And it adds like that, what do they call it, like graphomania. And as it gets further away from the light source, I'd move the lines closer together. But like right there, there's going to be a little bit of light that it's going to catch, and then closer together. Okay. And some stuff I will leave white, like this that holds over the boot. That's like it is a white fabric. They have skin. It depends on how heavy the lighting is. Like I'll add some, or I'll add some, different ways to show some shadow, like whether it's beard hair or whatever. And these are just ways you're going to see a difference between, my cover and the original. Because I'm not like I said, I'm not a fan of line by line recreations. I like reinterpretations. I like different styles. Like Art Adams, when he does a cover recreation or whatever, you can't tell that it was like a line by line recreation, which I like. I like that a lot. Looks like an Art Adams drawing, not Art Adams doing, faking a Kirby drawing or whatever. I've been looking at, different illustrators and going outside of comics for more and more of my inspiration. I think that's one of the reasons my stuff has continued to change, and I'm always looking at new stuff. I've actually been looking at old stuff, like the ash can artists like Charles Dana Gibson and stuff. But like one of the things, and I was talking to John Lucas about this, is like as far as my line choice, I haven't gotten into the cross hatching or the like really messy. Yeah, I think you showed me that one. Yeah, and it definitely had a difference, if I'm remembering correctly. You sent me some pages. They were the ones that David Finch looked at. But for now, I think this one is done. We're going to go on to the next one. This fellow here, I think I'm going to do next because they go together. And I want to make sure that because there's some heavier shadow here that they link together and the graphics fit together. Like I don't want to create tangents with the shadows. So it's good to build off of what we've already done here. I know it's more fun to ink the Ironface figure, but like I said, I'm nervous doing this stream, so I'm going to do some stuff that's lower stakes, and if I have to scrap stuff and redo stuff. I'm feeling okay right now, though. You guys have been definitely helping me out, so thank you. You folks are the best. So thank you, Allison and Jonathan. Yep, I agree. Totally. Yeah, I enjoyed watching them review your work. That was fun. I actually just saw a video of David Finch and Andy Park and another artist who I wasn't as familiar with look at designs of 90s superheroes and react to it, and it was fun because those guys worked in the 90s. Like they had some affection for some designs that I don't share, but I can totally understand why they love that stuff. And anyone who doesn't think that the 90s aesthetic bleeds through to comics today. Like all you have to do, if you watch that video, like you can tell why like certain stuff from that era shows up today as often as it does. Because they think it's fun. They like that stuff. See, back in the day, right there, I wouldn't have had the confidence to box off that hair because I didn't know how to define that shape without an outline or a rim lighting. And I know it doesn't look correct now, but when we finish inking everything around it, you'll still know that that's his head poking through because we lined up the shadows properly. And that's something I used to F up royally all the time. And I would try to save it with like rim lighting, and it just looked like garbage. I once had a portfolio review. Hey, thanks, Jonathan. Thank you very much for hanging out, and I hope you have a really nice evening. Hopefully we can catch up soon. But once I had a portfolio review with Keith Van Wormer, and he was a guy that did like stuff for Harris Comics back in the 90s, and he's gone on and done other things, but that was where I knew his work from, and he was working for Darby Pop at the time. It's like either a art director or art person of some kind with title. And he ripped my stuff good, and he was 1000% correct on a lot of it. The only thing that I disagreed with him on, and I will continue to disagree with him on, is that he said you have to focus on one discipline, whether it's pencils or inking. You have to pick one, and I don't think I would have a career at all at this point if I had done that. My ability to completely finish stuff quickly has been what has gotten me work, on books that I didn't publish. They've added all kinds of new features to Restream since I've been here last, and I don't know how they all work. I'm sure some of them are probably really useful, but still amazed at how fine the little bristles, how fine of a line you can get with this thing. That was my biggest complaint with brush pens for years. Is like, yeah, they got a bend in the line, but it was not fine enough. I mean, these, you can get like those little razor thin lines that you can get with a good brush, and to me, that's what brush pens had been missing for ages, because I'm not very good at like the big chunky lines, even though I like them. rely on tons of little lines to help me define shapes. And actually, this is about how slow I've been moving on some of my pages. I've just had to had what Mr. McFarlane calls butt power of planning my butt at my desk and just working. Let's get like a belt on. We're still waiting on your inks. Oh, from the inker fellow. I saw you were working on some coloring, and if you need help with flats, my buddy Jesse has been doing a really nice job. And he does them at the industry standard rate, so I can't complain one bit. I had to give him notes on like the first one, and since then he's been perfect, so I cannot complain one bit. I'm very thankful to have the help, and I will be crediting the flatter once his pages that he helped on start going up. And anytime that I've had the ability to give the flatters credit, I do. I think it's criminal that they don't get credit. And I mentioned this on Twitter a while ago, is that like the amount of uncredited work that I've discovered on books is just astronomical. At some point, Allison, I'll share some of those stories with you off of streaming. It will I think even you know a lot, so you probably have some inkling, but like some of the artists that I found out lately have had not just assistants. That's different. Like assistants in comics are like that's what it's always been. Ruling panels, stuff like that. But like entire ghosted issues or majority except for the heads being redrawn is drawn by somebody else, and it's just been kind of mind-boggling to me, let alone flatters and people who adjust lettering or pre-flight people or whatever. I just think if you work on a book, you should get your name on it. And I feel very strongly about that. And anytime I've had the ability to, I've gotten anybody's name on it that I can. And if I didn't have the ability to, like Ed Smith helped me out with flats on an issue of The Tick. He did a very nice job. I tried real hard with the powers that be to get his name on the book. They wouldn't do it, but anytime I promoted it online for Free Comic Book Day, I put Ed's name in there because he worked on that book. Yeah. And he sees funny about some of that stuff. You know, I would describe them as supremely cautious, um, to a detriment at times when it comes to the credits box. And that's just their small business. That's how they choose to do it. It's completely within their right. You know, it's just not how, if I have the ability to make those choices, I don't make the same ones. This is a neat little trick to show increasing shadow. This guy's belt is segmented, and if you add, you know, just a thicker line on each segment until you get to the bottom and you fill that completely in, it creates a nice visual golden rule style completeness to it, which I like. See those big chunky lines? It's the kind of thing that I can't do when I first start. And that's why I don't start with the main figure. Yeah, see, and that's cool. It's really good that you keep his name on there, in my opinion. Like, you know, that and $5 will get you a cup of coffee these days. I'm excited. I'm excited for your strip. I'm excited for new Distracula. My father is over the moon that there's new Distracula. I tell the story all the time at conventions. My father has a shelf above his desk. And on that shelf, he has like his college diploma, um, something signed by Ted Williams, some Red Sox stuff, and just Dracula comics. My comics, no. They're in the living room. But Jay Kennedy's just Dracula he has in the office right above his desk for immediate need. It's gonna be fun. You know, there's not a ton. I'm a passive promoter, which is to a detriment. Like I don't invite people to like the comics page even, but I will share everything. I'll leave instructions for people. Even when I'm promoting like the Kickstarter, I'm like, you know, if you like it, support it. Please check it out. I'm not like, you know, begging for please share, please like. I'm just not good at that. I started those questions for your interview for the litter box, but I have been unable to finish them. They're like good questions, so it takes me a little time. And I want there to be space in the answers for you to take that interview wherever you want to take it. I'm guessing that John Buscema, if he inked this, he inked it in like an hour. He had like a 50-page Savage Sword of Conan to crank out the same month. little things of my style I add, like, you know, this cast shadow here, you know, coming over his shoulder. That's not in the Buscema. The Buscema one, these are the guys laying on the ground all have personality and stuff, but they're, to me, they have like a sort of like a cipher feel to them, where like the faces are there to do the job, to show agony, but the rest is just to sell them as being bodies, nothing more. Like they're not, they don't, to me, uh, they do a much better job of boiling down the essence of the character into symbolic bits and pieces rather than worrying about the minutia. Which I tend to get bogged down in. Yeah, if it took him that long. That's what happens when you're, you know, one of the best ever. One thing I've started doing as I ink more and more is I will do a little bit of erasing as I go to keep it a little cleaner. You can start to see the contrast. For some reason, this paper's smudging a little more than it usually does. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm sure they did a sketch variant. They've been doing that with like all the Turtles ones. I have a couple left. I try to pick them up whenever I see a sketch variant. So maybe if they have a last run and one at NEC when I go there, I'll grab one. I bet you would draw some cool turtles. I don't know if I've ever seen you draw a turtle, a Ninja Turtle. Maybe when we were hanging out at Friendly Neighborhood Comics, because I think, no, I don't know if you did some sketching there. Yeah. That was one of your go-tos. I drew them a lot as a kid, for sure. And I mean, this is no disrespect to the Mirage guys, but they were more welcoming to draw. Hey, Jesse, thanks, man. Than some of the like superhero characters. I don't know. Just seemed like with the shell, like there was something maybe not easier, but less scary to draw. And they weren't people, so you know their heads were kind of bulbous, simpler shapes. At least that's what I thought of them, you know, when I was a little kid drawing them. It's like, oh, these are cool. He's got like kind of a round head and that's funny. That's a good story. Yeah, they just weren't as scary. I thought drawing like, you know, people was kind of scary back when I was a kid. But I tried. I definitely tried. There's plenty of like poorly drawn Ghostbusters from my youth for sure. Oh, cool. Definitely enjoy some samurai movies, but this month's been mostly horror movies as usual. Watching a lot of Hammer movies. We watched Circus of Vampire on Sunday. I enjoyed it quite a bit. For a Hammer movie that has neither Peter Cushing nor Christopher Lee in it, it's about as good as it gets, in my opinion. Yeah, they're just a lot of fun, and Camille and I both like the Hammer movies. Not that we don't love the Universal ones; they have their place, but I don't know. I just have been Hammer movies are definitely more in the they're a little gorier. They're a little there's a little more nudity, and they get a little bit more contemporary. Like the '70s Hammer movies take place in the '70s. Like AD 1972, classic. I know they had Captain Kronos on Amazon for free. I like that one quite a bit, and I loved the comic book that Tom Mandrake drew. I thought that was dynamite. Titan Comics, I think Titan Comics put it out. I enjoyed it a lot. Cheesy greatness, absolutely. Yes, yes, very fun. Camille very much enjoyed the skull. She liked that one. Um, I've been meaning, and I haven't seen it anywhere. Maybe you've seen it around, but the first Hammer movie, the Quatermass, the science fiction one. I saw that movie once when I was too young to really know what I was watching, and I would like to watch it again as an adult. Um, One thing you're not gonna see me do on this stream is sometimes in order to add an extra layer of depth to the mid-tone, I'll go in and double up parts of the lines, and that takes even more time. But we're just gonna keep plugging along here, and I'll do that, you know, later when I come back in. Let's see if we can get this whole quadrant done. I would be really happy as far as like the main inking done. That means we'd definitely be done tomorrow. And I could get to coloring this thing. One thing I'm wondering about is if I should add, maybe on an overlay, I could do like a fingerprint blood spatter, because there's definitely so much more blood in Ironface than in the old Wolverine comics. Hey Kevin, I'm doing okay, man. How you doing? Yeah, I'm just here inking away. We made pizza for dinner. We use like the naan bread, packaged naan bread as our crust. And we do our own toppings. Pizza in this part of town, have yet to find anything all that good, so we've been making our own for a while. I agree. I've got 2 more servings of that chili in the freezer. Hell, I might have have some for lunch tomorrow. Although I think I have to go grocery shopping tomorrow. Yeah, I made a pork and vegetable chili while Camille was helping her mom with her grandmother's apartment. Um, Pretty good batch. Not perfect, because I don't usually make chili with pork. So I think that's going to take a little bit of work. But I thought it was good, and it's definitely a lot cheaper than beef, and more filling than just veggie chili. Turkey's a good idea. Do you use like ground turkey or like turkey tips, like big chunks of turkey? Ground turkey. Yeah, for the pork chili, I used like a big. I got a big pork butt, cut it down, and browned it with onions and peppers and poblano peppers, and then put a bottle of beer in it, and then started adding like the tomato later on as the meat got tender, and then added all the veggies and beans and stuff at the end, and just simmered it a little while, and lots and lots of spices, a few fresh peppers from my mother-in-law's garden. That's right. That's right. Now, I'm sure on the original cover that, you know, they planned all these midtones to be color. So they were never worrying about any sort of hatching or anything. But I want to pretty much use flat colors on this. So I'm going to define some of the midtones and highlights with linear shading that I've been doing. Thanks very much, Kevin. Well, we try to keep it light here. You know, it's honestly, it's one of the reasons I haven't done too many of these, because it's been a really heavy time for myself and a lot of folks I know. So I haven't just felt that I could be just goofy and do stupid comic stuff. I was actually looking at a Paul Norris original the other day. It was I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on it because it's one of his like random book illustrations, but definitely been on the lookout for something. I would have even done it if it was like one of his Brick Bradford strips. It was full flight. Well, I hope you and your traveling companions or the missus and everybody that went are doing okay. I don't know if I can fly yet. I'm too nervous. Was it for work or were you out there just to? I think you said you worked in a laboratory of some kind. I mean, I've talked to my folks that live in Ohio, and like out there, it's totally different than here. Like they say, basically, people don't really wear masks and they go about their days like, you know, everything is fine. So I guess it just depends what part of the country you're in. Okay. Did you go to that giant comic store that's out there? What is it, Scorpion Comics or what? I forget what the name of the store is, but it's a giant store out there that I always see them advertising, and they have like signings with famous creators all the time. Torpedo Comics, that's it. Yep. I'll check it out as soon as I'm off here, Allison. That sounds cool. Yeah, I've seen like pictures of the store, and they have, you know, original art. They have all kinds of cool stuff. They had like Earl Norem paintings, painted covers from Marvel magazines. If I ever did a comic show out there, like the two things, like I've heard that the Vegas Comic Con is like becoming one of those shows that people do well at. So I'm intrigued by it. Also, like I'd want to go to Torpedo Comics and the oh, very nice. I'd want to go to the Hoover Dam. Yeah, that's like the most boring sounding old people thing you can imagine, but I don't know. I've seen documentaries on the place. Just looks cool. Oh, you've been? I'm jealous. Allison, have you been to the Hoover Dam? Oh, cool. Was it recent, or was it when you were younger? It just looks cool in pictures, and I've read about it, and the documentaries I've seen on it. It's all the architecture and everything. Hell's Kitchen. Oh, from the TV show. Oh, that's not that long ago. I didn't know if you went like when you were a little kid, and I definitely could see why maybe kids don't think it's fun, but I don't know. It just seems so cool. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never been to Vegas, so not much of a gambler. I'm sure I would hop off the plane and they'd be like, "Well, we can take that guy's money." I just feel like that's the vibe I give off. Like, oh, we're gonna show you how to play this game. I'll be like, "Gee, that sounds like fun." Loses all money. I've been to a couple of casinos over the years, but I don't know. I would play like blackjack for a little while. And that would be pretty much it. Um, do some slot machine, but I'm not a poker player, like a dice person. Now, if you wanted to sit at like a restaurant around in Massachusetts and play Keno, I could do that. Hopefully, most of them come through for you. I think most artists do. Especially for a nice fellow like you, with exquisite taste in superhero preference. Yeah, hop over to Tahiti in Dedham, Asian restaurant in Dedham that has been around since my dad was selling furniture in New England in the 70s and before. And they used to go there for Mai Tais and Keno on their lunch break when they were, my dad was in his early 30s, 20s. I'm gonna buy myself a piece of artwork for my birthday. I'm deciding on which one right now. I've been wanting a Gene Colan page for a while, and there's some that are very affordable. Not nothing, not major pages or anything, but you know. I was also considering a Rudy Nebra's page or a Conan page, but I don't know. I'm leaning towards the Colan. The beginning of this year, that was what I was going to look for at conventions, was an affordable Gene Colan page. Off of anything. Like, that's generally how I collect. I just want something Gene Colan. There's some Gem Son of Saturn pages out there that are very affordable, and like some Night Force. You're not going to get like a Daredevil splash or nothing, or a Doctor Strange page, which I love the Colan Doctor Strange. Oh. Ground Round. There's a place I haven't been to since I was a teeny tiny kid. I remember at Ground Round they had, what was it, fried ice cream? That was their thing. Or at least when we went, that was a thing that they did that we got. It was like fried dough with ice cream shot into it. Well, knock on wood, so far the stream has not been cut off or anything, so I've been happy with that. And we're winding down. It's almost 10 o'clock, but we got a good chunk of Over Here inked, which, with the cover, tomorrow morning I will actually probably finish this part first and then I'll draw Ironface in the afternoon, and then finish up with the background. If I'm doing the background after dinner, I will stream finishing it off, but I probably won't stream, the bulk of the work here, including some cleanup, in here. But I will get it done, and I thank you all for. Yes, that's true. Howard the Duck colon feast would be impossible. And I'm sure it would cost a pretty penny, and even some of the pages that I love in like Doctor Strange or Tomb of Dracula, they're like impossibly expensive. A Doctor Strange colon page, even like the latter ones, they're beautiful. I even like this Marvel Comics Presents, like if they had the Black Panther, Panther's Quest, or that Nightcrawler story he did, that would be great. But I'm going to call it a night. It's been lovely. I will do these again. It might not be every week, but since this was so nice and everybody was really great just to hang out, I will definitely do these more than once every 3 months, like I did seem to disappear too. But the Kickstarter is up. Check it out if you haven't. I think everybody that's here has checked it out. Ironface, they have big plans for, and I know they want to do more books. So it's my job to get the first one done, and hopefully you all like it. And because I'm having fun drawing it, and the guys that are doing it are extremely nice and have treated me very, very nicely, and I'm happy to work for them. So good night, and I will catch you on the flip side.